Hi friends, Stephanie here, and I'm back with more movie chatter, and what I have for you today is part 4 and the last part of my complete Blu-ray horror collection. Now, once again, this is just the standard Blu-rays. It doesn't include boutique labels for the most part. There's some that sneak in there, but basically it's just the regular standard Blu-rays, some steelbooks, things like that. And this is the last part, so if you haven't seen the other 3, go back and watch them. And Sunday we're going to move on to the Arrow horror collection, and that should be a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to getting through this and showing you some more fun titles, and then we can move on to other things. So I'm just going to crawl back down on the floor and I will pick up where we left off last time. Okay, we're picking up where we left off last time with Reanimator, The Rental, which is going to make you definitely rethink Airbnbs. Ready or Not, this was a fun one. A woman marries into a family, and the night of her wedding, she finds out that they play these horrible games and your survival depends on winning. Rosemary's Baby, that's the new 4K release. Rent-A-Pal, now I hear really good things about this. I haven't seen it yet, but it's high on my watch list. This is 1977 Suspiria, Dario Argento's Suspiria. This is the 4K. It is absolutely stunning in 4K. If you haven't seen this one, I highly recommend it. I'm going to talk more about it when we talk about the Arrow collection because it's also in there. This is the Blu-ray from Synapse. And this is the remake. I think anyone who has a problem with this one, I think it's probably people who haven't seen the original, because you really have to see the original to kind of understand where this one's going, because it does deviate from the storyline, but there's enough of it in there that you'll still kind of be able to follow it if you know the story, I think. So, but I don't know, it was kind of mediocre as far as reception, so, you know, not everybody loved it. I thought it was okay, though. The Shining, a classic, which I love. The Shining again. The 4K, very cool 4K steelbook of Saw. Spiral. The Walmart, one of these, I guess it's Lionsgate steelbooks from Walmart. The Saw collection. And then we have our lovely 7-film Blu-ray collection. The Shallows, which just has such a cool slipcover. I love that lenticular slip. They had a similar one on the 4K, but I missed out on it. St. Maud, this cool steelbook. And here's the Blu-ray. And I really think people need to give St. Maud a chance. It's really a good movie. And the long and the short of it is, it's a woman dealing with her demons. And she deals with it in a very unconventional way, but it's really good. And it has an ending that will just blow you away. And this was a tough one to get a hold of this year. The 4K Blu-ray Sleepy Hollow combination digibook and steelbook. It's a very different steelbook, and I like it. The slipcover version of Sleepy Hollow. This was the FYE steelbook from years back. Now we get into Scream. We have the first one on 4K. Scream 2 on 4K. Scream 3 that just came out on 4K. And I personally, I like the red. I think it's something different. It stands out. I like it. I'm glad they went with something a little bit different. We have, this is Scream 5, I'm guessing. And then we have Scream 6. And I love that it took place in New York. I love this steelbook. I love the subway door shot. And I love that they made Ghostface a little more of a badass. He was a little tougher. Kind of the same thing they did with Michael Myers in the last trilogy. Didn't like the movie as much. Not crazy about it. I figured it out, and I never figure out endings, and I figured out that one, so I don't know. Now, this is a great set to have. It's the original 3 Screams and 2 documentaries. You can still get this on Amazon. Definitely check into it, because for the documentaries alone, it's worth it. This is the first Scream movie, which I got signed up by Neve Campbell at the Monster Mania convention. She was very nice, by the way. And Scream 2. And we're moving on to the second shelf. Okay, I'm officially flat on the floor, so if I really buzz through this shelf, that's why. It's for my survival. Scream 3. Scream 4, which, I don't know, I thought they could have ended at the trilogy, but, you know, it's cool. They went on. The Strangers, you know how I feel about that one. The Strangers Pray at Night. I thought this was better than people gave it credit for. They really hated on it. I didn't think it was that bad. Street Trash. This movie is just so much fun. It's wild, it's wacky, and if you watch it, you're just going to have a good time. Go in with an open mind. Survival of the Dead. Haven't watched it yet. Same thing with this one, Satyr. I hear really cool things about it, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. This one's really good. It's a documentary called Smoke and Mirrors, and it is about the great Tom Savini, the special effects master. Watch it if you get a chance. Serial Mom. I don't know. It's a John Waters film. She's holding a knife, right? So I put her in the horror collection. I think it's a dark comedy with horror elements. Obviously, she kills people. Smile. I thought it was a good time. Steelbook of Smile. Shaun of the Dead. This is one of the steelbooks I have. I can't take it out of the case because I'm doing this one-handed. And then we have the Mondo steelbook of Shaun of the Dead, which is very good. I have another one from, I can't remember the name, Everything Blue, and I will show you that at a later time, but that's the best steelbook I have for Shaun of the Dead. Skeleton Key. This is a cool one with Kate Hudson. She plays a hospice nurse, and she goes to this home by New Orleans to take care of a gentleman who's dying, and he's nonverbal, but she feels like there's something else going on, and it has to do with maybe spells that have been cast in the house, and she tries to get to the bottom of things, and let me tell you, this is another one. The ending absolutely blew me away. Spontaneous. This is a lot of fun. Basically, you have a bunch of teenagers that are spontaneously combusting, and we're not really sure why, but it's a blast. It's fun. You're going to have a great time with it if you decide to watch it. Spiral. Haven't seen it yet. Same thing with The Soul Collector. Haven't watched that one yet. The Sadness. Now, I watched this. I have another version of this that I watched. It was recommended to me to watch. It is a bloody, wild time. It's really good, but it is very, very gory and over the top in places. So if you watch it, just be ready. Session 9, we've talked about it at length. If you haven't heard about it this month, definitely check this one out. The 4K of Swamp Thing. The Sentinel, a really good movie. More bugs. Stung. Starry Eyes, and this is a movie about a gal who wants to make it in Hollywood, and she is really desperate, and she will do just about anything to get to be a star. Stigmata, very cool movie. Now these are classics. Sleepaway Camp 1, if you know, you know. Sleepaway Camp 2, and Sleepaway Camp 3. All worth having in your collection. Spring. Now, this is a very cool movie. They call it like a monster movie, a monster love movie. It's in Italian. A guy goes over. He's trying to find himself. He's traveling. He meets this beautiful woman, and there may be more to her than meets the eye. And that's all I want to say. But it's a really cool, you can see things coming out of her back here. But it's a really cool movie. If you get a chance, definitely check it out if you don't mind some subtitles. Splinter. This is a very, very creepy but good movie. It was recommended to me by people on the channel. Definitely lived up to all my expectations. And Sinister. Very much like The Conjuring and Insidious, but has its own twist. And I think it's really good, and I know a lot of people do like it. So if you haven't checked out Sinister, definitely give that one a look. And I survived the floor, and I need to get up and move to the next shelf. Okay, friends, on to the next shelf. And this one has a little bit of room in case S's have a lot of titles, so I always like to leave a little bit of room. Silent Scream. This is a cool movie. This is the first movie I ever saw in theaters with friends and no parents. I think I was in about 8th grade, and it scared the life out of us. But going back, now that I have the Blu-ray, I went back, I revisited it, and it is a good movie. It's not terribly scary, but it really is a good movie. So if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. Stir of Echoes. I know I showed you the imprint one last time, but this is the Blu-ray, standard Blu-ray that I have. Soul Station. This is the, I believe it's the prequel. It's an animated, yeah, it's the animated prequel to Train to Busan. Serpent and the Rainbow. Really good film. Slither. Stakeland. Scars of Dracula. Can never go wrong with more Dracula. Stephen King's The Stand. Secret Window with Johnny Depp. Silent Night. A little bit of Crazy Santa Claus there. Spiral. I haven't watched this one yet, but I hear decent things. Silver Bullet. This is another fun one. Now this one, Silent Night, Deadly Night, 1 and 2. I know these are not the best movies, but you know what? They're fun around the holidays if you want something a little bit different. They're okay. They're decent. I don't mind them. But that was actually gifted to me. John Carpenter's The Thing. Fantastic. One of the best horror movies ever. And of course, we have the 4K Steelbook that came out. Tourist Trap. Tucker and Dale versus Evil, one of the best horror comedies out there. So many people. There's so much love for this movie, and understandable. It's so good. And here's the Blu-ray edition. Trick or Treat, a fantastic anthology. And there's our guy, Sam. And if you know, you know. He's a good one. Trick or Treat, a regular Blu-ray. The Taking of Deborah Logan. I really do enjoy this one. It's kind of a found footage. A gal invites a filming crew to come in and film her mother, who she believes is suffering from dementia. But there may be something more going on because, you know what? It's a horror movie, but I recommend this one. I thought it was really good. It was very creepy. Tales from the Hood, just a really fun time. Really good anthology movie. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. Terror in the Isles. Tarantula. Ugh, more bugs. You know how I feel about bugs. Train to Busan. We've talked about it at length. It's probably the best zombie movie ever made. And the Train to Busan Steelbook. All right, we're moving on to the next show. All right, here we are. This is the 40th anniversary collector's edition of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I know it's oversized, like a DVD size, but it is Blu-ray. It does have DVD discs in it as well, but it's primarily a Blu-ray set. It's very cool, though. And this is one of the steelbooks they put out. I believe this was at FYE, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I liked it. This is the recent 4K. Now, this was, I have it in backwards. Here we go. We'll try it this way. This was a 4K that came out from Turbine Media. It came out a little bit before the Dark Sky releases. But I thought this one looked good, and it's a nice set. It's got a book and such. It's in German, so that doesn't really help me much because I don't read German. But I thought this was really good. It looked nice, and you know, I thought it looked the way it should. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, another steelbook, of course. And this is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, which was put out by Vinegar Syndrome, which was a big surprise, and very happy to see it. It's a great release. This is one of the 4K slipcover. I mean, come on, look at that eye. I had to get that. This is Texas Chainsaw. This is a 3D lenticular slipcover. You know, not my favorite installment, but, you know, this franchise is all over the place. This is the 2003 remake with Jessica Biel, which scared the life out of me. And every time I watch it, it scares me. And of course, I already showed you Leatherface, but I had to move it over here to be with its family. I like this one. I don't think this one is terrible. I don't like the next one coming up, but I do like this one. You know, it's like an origin story for Leatherface. I thought it was well done, but I know a lot of people don't really care for it. But this one, the one from Warner Archive, I don't really like this one. Wasn't crazy about it, but you know what? It's staying in the collection. And this is, you know, come on, Pretty Woman, Texas Chainsaw Massacre Next Generation. And I know they're in the wrong order. I don't even know what order they go in. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the beginning. And then we have The Town That Dreaded Sundown. Pretty cool and based on true events. And here's the other one. Talk to Me, which is all the buzz this year. And Me and That Darn Hand, it's going for $110 on the A24 store. And it's back ordered. But I don't think I'm going to get the hand. But I did enjoy the movie. It's really cool. These kids find this hand and they realize that if they touch it, they can contact people from the other side. And it becomes like almost like a party trick. And they're filming it until you know something's going to happen and things start to go wrong. But I really hope they continue on with this because it is easy. I think they left it open where they could make another one and maybe turn it into a franchise. I think that would be great. I want to know more about the backstory of the hand because they didn't really flesh that out too much. Dario Argento's Tenebrae, very good one. They Live. I love this one. And the 4K Steelbook. Love that Steelbook. Now, I grew up on this one. HBO, late at night. Tales from the Crypt. This is the Demon Knight one. And this is Bordello of Blood. You gotta love the Crypt Keeper. Now, here's one. This is, I believe it's Norwegian. It's called Troll Hunter. This is just a blast. It's a horror comedy. And these guys are out and they're hunting these big trolls. And maybe the trolls have a little bit of a flatulence. And I don't know. It's a good time. But you'll enjoy it. 13 Ghosts, another good one. Now these freak me out. This is a good one. This is Spanish. It's called Terrified. It's a Spanish film. This was very, very good. It came from Shudder. Really good. And when you see this guy, just run. These, I don't know. I'm on the fence. They're a little bit much for me. And if you know this one, you know the scene that I'm talking about. It put me right over the edge. But it's Terrifier, and then Terrifier 2, which I just haven't worked up to watching yet. So we'll see what happens with those. And then we have the 4K of the Toolbox Murders, and we have Toolbox Murders 2. Moving on. We're going to keep it moving with, of course, Terror Train. Titan, which I have not watched yet, but I hear it is quite the wild ride. Tremors, which I love. I had to have this Steelbook, and we're going to talk about the 4K when I do the Arrow collection. Tremors Attack Pack with all 4 movies. The Tingler. This is a lot of fun. This is in the William Castle Indicator box set. And Nathan Jones and I did a nice video series about this on his channel last year. I'll try and link that in the description if I can find it. But we had a lot of fun with that series. And the Tingler was one that we really enjoyed. Vincent Price is in it. Tales from the Dark Side. These are the Universal Monsters Alex Ross Steelbooks that are so beautiful. Creature from the Black Lagoon, Dracula, The Wolfman, Bride of Frankenstein. I was happy to see that she got her own Steelbook. Frankenstein, which is always a winner. The Invisible Man, and my guy, The Mummy. Not the Hammer Mummy, but still The Mummy. And these are some Universal horror sets that Scream Factory put out. I bought 2, but then I stopped because I realized I could just pick up what I wanted on its own. Murders in the Zoo, The Mad Doctor of Market Street, The Mad Ghoul, and The Strange Case of Dr. RX, or a Prescription, whatever you want to call it. This is Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi in The Raven, The Black Cat, Black Friday, and The Invisible Ray. Urban Legend. This is a fun one. I remember having a lot of fun when I saw that one in the movies. Victor Crowley. I told you, he jumped out of the swamp and he came over here to hang out in the V's. He's part of the Hatchet series. It's the final installment of the Hatchet series. So that's a lot of fun. Violent Night, which is a blast, and it's going to be great to watch it around Christmas. And, of course, it's getting a brand new 4K November 7th, if I'm not mistaken. Shudder Original, Violation. Haven't seen it yet, but I hear it's pretty good. And usually the Shudder Originals are good. Vicious Fun. I think I've seen this, and I think I liked it, but I'm going to have to do more research on it. Village of the Damned. Very cool. Very creepy. Valentine. A lot of fun. The Voices, which we have talked about time and time again this month. If you haven't seen it, please go see it. It's a horror comedy, dark comedy, but Ryan Reynolds like you've never seen him before, and it's fantastic. John Carpenter's Vampires, which I think is so unappreciated, underappreciated. I think it's so much better than people give it credit for, and I just love it. And then we have, ending this shelf, we have 3 Vincent Price collections that were put out by Scream Factory. We have the first one that has, this is probably my favorite one. The Pit and the Pendulum, The Mask of the Red Death, The Haunted Palace, Witchfinder General, which is awesome, The Abominable Dr. Phibes, and Fall of the House of Usher. And then on volume 2, we have The Raven, Comedy of Terrors, Tomb of Ligeia, The Return of the Fly, House on Haunted Hill, Dr. Phibes Rides Again, and The Last Man on Earth. And a lot of these you can get on Kino Lorber for very reasonable prices, and some with slipcovers. And volume 3 is Master of the World, Tower of London, Diary of a Madman, Cry of the Banshee, and An Evening of Edgar Allan Poe, which is always going to be fantastic. So I'm going to put them back on the shelf, and we are moving on to the very last shelf. So hang in there. Okay, I couldn't handle being on the floor, so we're going to put the movies on my lap. The first one is The Visit, and two young people go to visit their grandparents, and they quickly find out something is wrong. It's a pretty decent film. I didn't mind it. Hammer film, Vampire Circus, a lot of fun. Can't go wrong with anything Hammer. VHS 99, recently picked it up, haven't watched it yet. The first VHS, it's a good time. I like the VHS movies. Warm Bodies, this is a rom-com, as I call it, and we have two young people. He is a zombie, she is not, and she falls for him, and she believes that she can teach him how to not harm her and maybe even love her a little bit. Like they said, cold body, warm heart. It's really a good time. I liked it so much more than I thought I would. Now, this is a great one. Woodlands Dark and Days Bewitched, The History of Folk Horror. I'm going to show you a box set at the end of this, at the end of the video, and it's called May All the Haunts Be Ours. And this is the documentary that goes along with that explains about folk horror and what you can expect from it. So if you're not sure if you want to invest in the set because it's a little pricey, you might want to check this one out first because it's very, very good, very informative. And I like this a lot. I think it's really good. Now, this one is a documentary about Monster Squad. Love the title. Wolfman's Got Nards. Just fun. Wolf Creek, we've talked about it many times. A bunch of kids break down, and it takes place in Australia. Their car breaks down. A guy tells them he can help them fix it, and instead he starts to hunt them down and stalk them, and he is just brutal, but it's a really good movie. I've heard it's based on true events. If you know, let me know. The Wolf of Snow Hollow. This is actually a fun one, and it's a film by Jim Cummings, and we have a police officer, his father. His father's about to retire. He needs to retire, but these attacks start happening in the town, and they believe it is a werewolf. And it's kind of funny. It's got some dark comedic moments, but it's pretty cool, and they do a good job with the practical effects. I think it's worth a look. The Wolf of Snow Hollow. Definitely put it on your list to check out. It's light. It's fun. It's an easy watch. Now, speaking of watching, The Watcher, this one came out this year. A lot of people really like this one. It was decent, I thought. Gal moves to another country to be with her boyfriend or husband, and she believes that the man across the way in the other apartment is watching and following her. And it's very tense, very atmospheric, very much a mystery. So if you like that kind of thing and it's not over the top gory or anything, definitely check out The Watcher. You might like it. And unless you're worried about people following you, then you won't like it. Willard, just with Crispin Glover, such a good time, so creepy, so fun. And I know a lot of people said this one really creeped them out when we talked about movies that scared us. And I think this one is so much better than people give it credit for. And Daniel Radcliffe was great. This is called The Woman in Black, and it's basically a haunted house story. And I think it's really good. And if you haven't seen this and you like the whole haunted house, the whole creepy house thing with maybe spirits left behind, definitely check out Woman in Black because it's really, really good. So I'm going to grab the next pile and we're going to finish this one. Okay, moving on. I have this little pile and then I saved my Rob Zombie titles for last. This one, What Keeps You Alive? I think this one is one that could go into the underrated category. I never hear anyone speak about it. It is such a cool movie. We have these two gals, they're a couple. They go away to celebrate their 1-year anniversary. They're staying in a lake house. Everything seems to be going fine. And then all of a sudden, something horrible starts happening. And that's all I can really say about it. I know people complain. They say, oh, they make stupid decisions. Well, isn't that what happens in all horror movies? They always make dumb decisions. That's why they're in the movie. But just go in with no expectations, and you will have a great time with this. It is so much fun. I think it's so underappreciated. Now, this one is not underappreciated. 1974's The Wicker Man, the original. We have a crime that's committed. A little girl has gone missing. We suppose it's a crime. An investigator goes to an island off the coast of Scotland to figure out what happened to this little girl, if anyone knows where she is, where she's gone. And he quickly starts to realize there's something very bizarre going on this island with these people. There's rituals that go on. like a cult, and maybe there's some pagan rituals that go on. And he is in some deep, deep trouble, and he's there alone, and it is just so good, so creepy, so unsettling. And like I said, it is one of my top favorite horror movies of all time. It's got to be in the top 5. The Wicker Man, so good. And this is the Studio Canal 4K Steelbook that recently came out. I picked this one up, and I also grabbed the Best Buy one that came out too. So we'll see that at another time when I do my Steelbooks. And we all know these. The Wrong Turn one. I have Wrong Turn 6 alone, but Wrong Turn 1 through 5. Don't ever let your car break down in the woods, especially after you see that. What We Do in the Shadows. I talked about this one too. Just a bloody good time. Think about if the real world was just a house full of vampires. It is so much fun, so funny, so quirky. You have Taika Waititi in it, and you know with that you can't go wrong. So definitely check out What We Do in the Shadows. And you guys have told me in the comments that the television show is equally as funny. So I'm looking forward to checking that one out. Now, if we talk about folk horror, nothing says it like A24's The Witch. We have our friend Black Phillip here. You have a family living out. It's very much a timepiece, and family living out in isolation, and they have woods behind them, and maybe a child goes missing, and they are trying to figure out what is going on in the woods behind their house, and it is very, very, very creepy. The epitome of folk horror right here. This one and The Wicker Man before it. Very, very good. And this one, You're Next, is so good. I love this movie. A family gathers for a celebratory dinner, and during dinner, someone starts to shoot, I guess it's arrows through the windows trying to kill them. And they have to fight to survive and figure out what's going on, why this is happening. And all I can say is the final girl in this one is one of the best badasses you will ever see. And if you're ever in trouble, she is the one you're going to want on your team. So I am going to grab my Rob Zombie films, and we're going to wrap this. Okay, friends, we're wrapping things up with my Rob Zombie collection, minus Halloween 1 and 2, which will be in my complete Halloween collection that I'm doing for you Monday. First one is 31, not his most popular, but if you know anything about him, he grew up as a carnival kid. His parents were carnies, and that's what this movie's about. It's about a bunch of carnies trapped in a place called Murder House, and people are trying to kill him, and it's a pretty simple premise, and if you like things like that, you're probably going to have a good time with it. There's really not much to it, and check it out if you want something that's just, an easy, mindless watch. And the start of the Firefly trilogy is House of a Thousand Corpses. This is where it all started, and this is so good. And when people ask, I say this is the one that feels like a Halloween movie because the house is decorated for Halloween. You have masks and pumpkins and mannequins all dressed up, and just chaos ensues when a group of kids, young people, their car breaks down. And one of the people in there is Rainn Wilson, Dwight from The Office. So he gets to meet the Firefly family, and you see what happens to him. And of course, my favorite of the trilogy is The Devil's Rejects. And there you have Baby and Captain Spaulding and Otis, 3 people you do not want to meet on the road, but this is such a good movie, so great. I think it's his best movie ever, and I just wish that Sid Haig had remained healthy enough so that 3 from Hell could have been a follow-up to this one, a proper follow-up to this one, but this is just fantastic. And if you know, you know, but give it a shot. If you haven't given it a try, give the Devil's Rejects a shot. Now, here we have 3 from Hell, which was, I think it was like 10 years after the Devil's Rejects. And what happened is Sid Haig's health had deteriorated to such a point that he could not partake in the movie. And at the last minute, Rob Zombie was contracted to make this movie. And in the last minute, he had to rewrite the entire movie so that he could write around Sid Haig not being in there. And it's a miracle that this movie even got made. I know it's not the best in the franchise, but I think he did a really good job considering the circumstances he was working with. And every time I watch this, I like it a little bit more. So if you want to see something that, if you want to see what he is capable of, even under pressure, definitely give 3 from Hell a chance. I know people hate on it, but if you know the story, then you'll understand why certain things they had to be changed. And Lords of Salem, this is one that I really like. It's a real departure in tone from his normal content, but Sherry Moon plays a radio DJ who sent a record, and it has to do with witchcraft and witches. And you know, if you're into the whole Salem witch thing and all that, you're really going to enjoy this. I think it's very different, has a great tone, it's very creepy. The last like 10 or 15 minutes, it kind of lost it for me, but I still think there's enough good in this where it holds up, and it's a very unique and very cool modern witch story. And then we have some steelbooks. Of course, I got the new Firefly trilogy one from Walmart, which I think is cool. Had to have the Lords of Salem one because I just love this this cover art. I love it. And I think this is one of the nicest steelbooks they put out for his movies. This is the trilogy, the Firefly trilogy, House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects, and Three from Hell. This is one of those original, the really nice Lionsgate ones. So this was a really cool one. I think I got that in Target, and I guess it's out of print by now. And then they did one for Three from Hell, which is just awesome. It's another one of the great Lionsgate steelbooks. Fantastic. And when you pull this cover off, if I had two hands, I'd do it for you. But when you pull it off, there is skulls underneath it, and it is so cool. One of my favorite steelbooks in my steelbook collection. And then, of course, we got one for House of a Thousand Corpses from Lionsgate, which is really cool as well. So there's that one. And then, you know what? Even though it's not my favorite one, I still picked up 31, and it's a badass steelbook. So, this movie's kind of growing on me. Give it time, and I will be singing its praises. But you know how I am with Rob Zombie, so I'm gonna leave it at that. And 31 is my last movie. And I'm just going to do some wrap-ups, and then we're out of here. Okay, I just have a few things that weren't on these shelves that I wanted to share with you. I know last time I did a video, people said I didn't have any Troma films, but here's some of the Troma films I have, just to show you that I do support Troma. They're just in a different area of the room, which I will show you at a later time. Also, on the last shelf, Lucio Fulci's Zombie didn't fit. I'm obviously running out of shelf space, and I have to move on to the next one. But Zombie will be on that shelf, so I wanted to share that. I have the Resident Evil box set from last year. I love the Resident Evil movies, and I used to play the games. Actually, believe it or not, I did play games at a time. Paranormal Activity. I think everybody bought this last year. That's a good one. And this is probably my favorite box set. One of my favorite box sets I think I've ever owned. It's called All the Haunts Be Ours. It was put out by Severin. It's a compendium of folk horror. It's an extensive look at folk horror. There are so many films in here, and it is just such a great set. If you have any interest in folk horror, definitely poke around, do some homework, read up on it. A lot of the films feel like independents, or they're short films, things like that, but very, very good if you like folk horror, which I do. And the last box set I wanted to show you is the, Underworld. I couldn't think of the name. It's the Underworld set, and I'm a big fan of Underworld. I think it's fun. It's got a little bit of everything, and I couldn't leave this out of the collection videos. So there's Underworld, the last thing. All right, friends, so that is the entire Blu-ray horror collection to date. That doesn't include boutique titles, some steelbooks, things like that. We're going to get to that. I'm going to get to the Arrow one Sunday, like I said, and then I'm going to sprinkle the rest of them in through the year. We'll do one every once in a while, but we'll get through everything. No worries. I want to thank everyone so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I know this was a long series, but I really enjoyed doing it for you. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like this kind of content, consider subscribing. Leave me some comments and recommendations, suggestions. I always love chatting with you guys in the comments. And don't forget to hit the bell notification so you know when I upload again. I do post my video schedule now for the week over on the community tab. So if you want to see when I'm posting and what I'm posting, take a look at that and you'll see what's coming next. But I will be back on Sunday. So for today, that's a wrap.